Everybody knows Texas is hot. Not just sort of hot, blisteringly, life-devouringly hot. But all is not lost, oh no. Because just as nature gave us the searing sun, it also gave us our defense. One found all over the state of Texas, from the middle of the piney woods to the middle of the desert. Deep, blue, wet, life-reviving.
It's a Texas Swimming Holes road trip! Woo!
The Texas Swimming Hole is a thing of legend, right up there with Brisket and the Alamo, and one of our only natural defenses against that mean old Texas sun.
So, I've got a question for you guys. What is the hottest temperature ever recorded in Texas?
115.
Anybody else?
117.
119.
Ooh! Todd's the closest. What? It's 120 degrees.
Come on.
We've hit it twice.
Where?
Once in 1936 in Seymour, Texas, and once in 1994 in Monahans, Texas. I think the hottest I've ever experienced is like 111. Like legit temperature, no heat index, 111. And that, my friends, is hot. Best thing to do when it's hot?
Swim.
Jump in a swimming hole. That's exactly right.
Jumping in a swimming hole is a time-honored ritual in Texas, and they're found all over the state in hues of blue, brown, and green. They come shaded in towering trees or just surrounded by scrubby brush. And some are crowded with people. Others you may have all to yourself. So grab a towel and some sunscreen, and let's take a look back at some of the best and most memorable dips we've had on the road. And no swimming hole road trip would be complete without first stopping at the crown jewel of them all in the heart of Texas's capital city, Austin's Barton Springs.
I think the term urban oasis was created specifically for this place.
Barton Springs is so special because massive amounts of water literally flow right out of the rocks every second of every day. Fresher than tap water and clearer than the Caribbean. What's not to love about that? Folks have been swimming in Barton Springs for more than 200 years when the Spanish built a mission on its banks. When you come, I'd recommend a suit, a towel, something to float on, and a slight tolerance for pain. You see, Barton Springs is spring-fed, which means the water is the same temperature year-round. Cold.
Oh, it's fresh! Fresh!
But trust me, the pain is only temporary and well worth the rush of exhilaration.
You get a little used to it and it doesn't get so bad. But at first, it takes your breath away.
Plus, without the cold water, you'd lack a critical part of the Barton Springs two-step. Here's a quick lesson. Step 1, cool off in the springs. Step 2, heat up on the hill. And then repeat. Again and again and again. For an advanced move, try throwing in a nap somewhere along the way.
Would you rather swim in a natural swimming hole or a pool?
Natural.
Natural?
All natural.
All natural, Todd.
That's right.
I think for me, swimming hole.
It depends on the pool. It depends on the natural.
Okay.
I've been in natural where I've had fish chewing on my extremities.
Well, that can be kind of pleasant, though.
If I had to pick a perfect swimming hole, what I would say is it needs shade.
You go to a Texas river and it's covered by those, 75, 100-foot tall cypress trees.
In the water.
Oh, yeah, they're
That's
right
my
there
favorite.
at the river's edge. I mean, the weirdest swimming hole we ever went to, and I don't know if it even qualifies, was an underground nuclear missile silo.
Okay.
Swimming hole or not?
Is it a hole?
It was a
It's
hole.
a hole. Can you swim in it?
Yes, you can.
I say swimming hole.
Boom. All right.
There you
I'm,
go.
I'm with you on that. Well, this raises an interesting question. Like, is a lake a swimming hole?
No.
That's a big hole.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Maybe we need to decide right now what qualifies as a swimming hole.
It's a good question, Daniel.
Does it
One
have to
that
be
I've stayed up many a night thinking of.
Ground-fed water?
Ground-fed
Does it
water?
need
Well,
ground-fed water?
I would say rivers have to qualify as swimming holes, right? Like
So maybe running water. It needs water that's moving. Would you call it a tank on private property a swimming hole?
Yes,
if
I
it has
would.
a tree on it,
Yes,
a
I
nice
would.
little swing.
Is it a
Okay.
hole?
Yes.
Can you swim in it?
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, technically lakes are really big holes.
What about the
I
Gulf
think it
of
has to be
Mexico?
smaller.
Okay.
Is it a hole? Can you swim in it?
It really doesn't matter. If there's a body of water I can jump into, I'm gonna do it. But for the sake of clarity, I'm disqualifying the beach as a swimming hole. Sorry, y'all. But when it comes to other places to swim, lakes, rivers, and ponds, well, Texas has some of the most unique sights in the world, like the Paluxy River, where you can swim above dinosaur footprints. Or the Devil's River, where you can dive into one of the most untouched and pristine rivers in the United States. And then, well, there's one of the most beautiful swimming spots on Earth. Down to the creek and around the rocks to Hamilton Pool we go. Here it is. Man, is this not beautiful? Look at the limestone overhanging, the hill country water. Look at all these happy people. How could anyone be unhappy out here? As you can see, this place is kind of popular. Is this not amazing? Cool water, warm sunshine, and a little heaven on earth that man had nothing to do with. There's evidence that humans have been enjoying this area for over 8,000 years. One of the things that makes Hamilton Pool so special is the huge overhanging limestone, making this perhaps the most dramatic swimming hole in Texas. The softer rock underneath eroded, and it left this big limestone overhang that sometime in the next 10, 100,000 years is gonna fall, but hopefully not today. Yeah, today Hamilton Pool isn't dangerous, just dang relaxing. And it's been that way for a long, long time.
It's a lot warmer, but it kind of hurts a little bit. Sort of like a really horrible massage.
Hamilton Pool is special for the massive limestone shelf that hangs above the water. Our destination swimming hole for today is special for what lies below the water. We're headed to the hill country town of Wimberley, about an hour's drive from both Austin and San Antonio. On the banks of the Blanco River, it's an artistic hippie hideaway which we visited 10 years ago for season 2. We even went swimming at Wimberley's Blue Hole perched along Cypress Creek. And that is a little touch of heaven. With its massive cypress trees and rope swings, well, it's a special place. But there's another truly amazing spot in town, a place where Cypress Creek actually flows out of the ground, a spot called Jacob's Well. All right, so this right here is one of the most pristine, most beautiful, most special swimming holes in all of Texas. And truly, there's almost nothing else like it in the entire world. I mean, look down into it. It is a spring-fed hole that goes all the way down to the aquifer, hundreds of feet, just pushing fresh water out. But more than just being beautiful, it's also really, really important for what it is, both historically and also naturally. Some believe Jacob's Well was named by the pioneering Texans who saw the springs as a miracle of biblical proportions. Water flowing from the rocks like in the Old Testament days of Jacob. And this quickly became a favorite spot for both recreation and survival because after all, water is life. And today it's protected by the good folks of Hays County. This is park specialist Catherine Sturdivant. Oh my gosh, Catherine, this is like the abyss into the middle of the earth. How deep is this thing?
So this cave right here goes down about 140 feet into the ground, about a mile in.
What?
Yes, sir.
140 feet down, and then back into other caves?
Yeah, so it stages, it drops in increments. It'll drop down about 30 or 40 feet and then flatten out and then drop another 30 or 40 feet. There's about 5 or 6 chambers in there. Some are so large you can fit one of y'all's trucks through. Others are so tight that you're taking the tank off your back.
Whoa, that sounds terrifying.
It's absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you ever done it?
No, never.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
The public used to dive here regularly, but after a number of deaths in the depths of the cave, it's now only open to experienced research diving. And that might scare some of you, but as long as you stay in the first section near the surface, it's perfectly safe.
So I imagine though, like you get a lot of kids who feel like if they jump in, they're just gonna sink into the bottom of the earth.
Yes, there's definitely some apprehension. I definitely have to remind kids that number 1, it's not gonna suck you in. Number 2, there's some confusion about Jacob's whale.
That he's living down there?
There's no whale and there's no Jacob.
It'd be like that thing on Star Wars that comes out of the planet. Like
Someone did tell me the other day a child said it looked like the Sarlacc pit.
That's right. So now that makes it a lot more terrifying for me.
Yeah, very frightening.
Like I said, perfectly safe. The only living things down there aren't even big enough to nibble your toes.
But this water and this area in particular host a number of protected and unprotected organisms that are really critical. We've got blind catfish and a pretty unique type of salamander that's only found in aquifers around here. We've got a ton of other breeding fish, sunfish and bass in here that are really thriving and keeping this water clean and healthy.
So there's a balance between recreation and conservation. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's why they only open it for swimming half of the year with a strict reservation system. But if you can get in, well, you have to.
How important do you think like swimming holes are to just sort of being a Texan?
It's essential. At this point, we're hitting 105 every day this week. It's necessary to be in some water or nobody's having a good time. Plus, these places are the places that many Texans just grew up being in.
I couldn't agree more. You know, I share the wonder of those early pioneers because there's just something magical about natural springs flowing out of the ground. And some of my favorite swimming holes are spring-fed. This is Spicewood Springs. From this main pool and up through Spicewood Canyon, there are over a dozen spring-fed pools. All right, so basically a couple hours spent at Spicewood Springs. You hike a little, you swim a little, and when you get tired of that swimming hole, you hike a little more and swim a little more. This is a pretty magical place, right? It's almost, and I mean almost, one of those places that you don't want to put on TV because you're worried that more people might come and find out about it. But hey, that's my job to share Texas with you guys. And I'm not keeping any secrets, all right? I'm an open book. This place is amazing. If I were gonna draw the perfect little hidden swimming hole, it would look almost exactly like this. Towering cypress trees, huge rocks for sunbathing, a trickling waterfall, and the perfect rope swing.
You think I should go back there? I think I should go back. It's a cave behind the waterfall. If I had brought my flashlight, I might go back in there. But I don't think so.
And springs flow in the most unexpected places, like the middle of the Chihuahuan Desert.
What's the most common reaction you get to people when they see this the first time?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. How is there so much water in the desert of West Texas? I get people that go, there's fish. People just are stunned by it.
It's insane. I mean, look at this.
And it's that unexpected, come out of nowhere beauty that leaves people breathless. It's also the fact that the water's like 72 degrees. In the early days, it was nothing more than a hole in the ground. And while the CCC concreted in the sides for easy access, they left most of the bottom natural. And they left the fish, some of which only exist in this pool. And at one end, a high dive. A glorious high dive, helping children conquer fear of heights and belly busters, one splash at a time.
Okay, I'm just gonna go straight for the high dive. There are no baby steps on Daytripper.
Ah! Time to get wet.
I'm approximately 300 feet in the air.
I mean, look at this water. I feel like I've jumped into the best swimmable aquarium in Texas. Man, I actually expected it to be a lot colder. It's really nice.
I gotta go do that again. This time I'm thinking,
Cannonball!
Oh, that looked like it hurts.
Ow! Back to Wimberley. And you may have noticed that one of the best ways to get into Jacob's Well is to start way above it.
Oh man, look at that. This is definitely a different perspective. I mean, it's just like a vacuum to the middle of the earth. It feels like it's gonna suck you in. And I think I might have talked a little big. How about we go down to the lower ledge to start this day off?
It's truly as if nature built its own diving board. Let's do this.
All right, here we go.
Wow, it's like plunging into another world. But it's a world without oxygen.
Woo! Yeah!
This is about as perfect as it gets on a hot Texas day. Just watch your step. The rocks are a little slippery. Okay, so a few more warm-up jumps, and then...
I think I'm going to the top. Worked up the courage. All right, let's do it.
A little slippery.
A little slippery.
Whoa!
You know, some say, hey, let's jump in a swimming hole. And they mean, let's just go swimming. But when others say, let's jump in, well, they really mean jump. The Devil's Waterhole lies off of Finger of Inks Lake. If you make the hike back or kayak back, you'll be greeted with lots of people just floating around enjoying the Texas sunshine.
This is the place they call the Devil's Waterhole. It's one of the best swimming holes in Texas. The pink granite and the water give you excellent cliffs to jump off of. That is, if you're brave enough to take the plunge. No one really knows how it got its name, but it's not hard to imagine with the dry sun and the parched and rocky landscape. I mean, as far as I know, the Devil's never really even been out here to take a plunge and a swim of his own. I mean, I think it's just a whole bunch of myth, and someone made up the name to just sort of bring tourists. I mean, I really don't believe the Devil personally swims at all.
Jumping off the top rock is definitely a test of what you're made of. Woo! I was a much younger man back then. But jumping off or out of things is definitely one of my favorite parts of swimming holes. But there's nothing more essential to a Texas swimming hole than a rope swing. This is the beginner swing. Up the creek lies the advanced swing, a metal ring swinging back and forth that visitors must jump and catch in mid-flight. It's much tougher than it looks. And timing is everything. Yeah, but I'm not one to pass up a challenge. I'm not one to give up on a challenge either. And like all rope swings, there are no shortage of locals willing to impress the out-of-towners. It's pretty clear that this guy has practiced.
No.
And I have not. And if you like real excitement with your swimming holes, well then trip to this stretch of the Guadalupe River.
So this is the Ingram Dam. It's like the hill country's greatest water slide. Look at those dudes. Oh, maybe don't look at those dudes.
The free-flowing water has laid down a thick coat of algae and turned an otherwise boring dam into a slip-sliding Guadalupean good time. Best to start nice and easy.
That was awesome, but I gotta say, sliding down the dam is the easy part. Getting back up the dam is the hard part. That's actually way scarier than going down. I think it's time to try on the feet. What do you think?
Try it.
Yeah, baby.
No goofing with the hat?
Something, I don't know. I'm just trying to get my confidence up. Does this make me look more confident?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
All right!
nope, and nope, and a whole bucket of nope. This is a lot harder than it looks, but, you know, I'm not going to complain, because any afternoon spent splashing in a Texas river is a good afternoon. Now, I know some of you prefer your swimming holes a little more laid back, and of course, there's nothing more relaxing than the Texas pastime of tubing. So this is about the easiest sport that was ever invented. All you have to do is sit in a round circular donut thing and float. Not the most graceful takeoff. Daniel was the only crew member that wanted to tube with me. That's a beginner entry right there. But there are plenty of other folks out here for the party. And just as we're starting to chill out, we must face our first challenge, the city tube shoot. And once you're sucked into its gravitational pull, there is no escape. Oh yeah, we gotta do that again. This time, tubeless.
All right.
It's actually a pretty wild ride for being a public park. It's known to flip anyone and everyone without notice, dumping you and your valuable possessions into the river. Which means if you got a snorkel and some goggles, well, you can just sit below and let the treasure come to you. Sweet, a cell phone. Nice, a Discman.
Sweet, a Hootie the Blowfish CD.
A crown. A Little League trophy? People bring the craziest stuff on the river. Speaking of underwater treasures, Jacob's Well has been known to swallow a few. Wedding rings, watches, and GoPros. And with the first shelf sitting at about 25 feet down, very few things get recovered. Let's see what's been lost down in Jacob Jones's locker.
All right, we're gonna go down and see how far we can get in this thing. Can you get to the bottom, little buddy? You think? Uh-huh. He can do it, I can do it.
To make it even harder, the water flowing through the springs is pushing against me. It's like I'm kicking against an invisible current. Made it to the bottom, with no sign of lost treasure. Oh, but here's the entrance to the real fathoms below. Bull, that's creepy stuff. I think I'm headed back up top. With oxygen, I do love scuba diving down into some swimming holes. And believe it or not, East Texas has two of the bluest I have ever seen, along with some really cool sunken treasure. At the end of the day, the best swimming holes are the ones you can visit with friends and family to make the sort of memories Texans have been making for centuries. And if the swimming hole just happens to be on an island, well, that's all the better.
Ah! Let's go, kids.
All right, so I just paddled around the entire island and I can confirm that it is indeed an island. An island like this in Central Texas? What a wonderful world. You're overheating, on the brink of melting, and suddenly, with one step, life goes from being lost to all good. This is our ritual in Texas, our tradition, and for every kid or newcomer, swimming holes are a baptism into the Texan way of life. And I've tripped all over, but haven't yet dipped them all. So as long as there's a Texas sun and a Texas summer, well, then you know where to find me. I'll be somewhere on a back road looking for my new favorite swimming hole.
I will see all y'all out on the road. Fire con Dios, amigos! You have a lot shorter amount of time to talk than you think.